So I was watching some reels on Facebook the other day, and they were doing like it's this show. It's like an animated show, and this man was talking to a young boy, explaining the story of Jesus and how he healed a man who was let down through the roof. And while I was listening to that, it's like this thought just came to my mind. It's like, we always question or we wonder, like, well, why did he do that? What was the reason he said your sins are forgiven versus, okay, get up and walk. You're healed. I've healed you. What was the significance of that? The thing that first came to my mind was, is it that his unforgiveness of self held him back from any healing in his life? And I thought back to how sometimes our guilt or shame holds us back from certain healings to take place in our life. Because for one, we do know that we cannot be forgiven unless we forgive others. If we have unforgiveness or resentment in our heart, the Father won't forgive us. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible, right? So then the word also says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? That's a command. So if you don't love yourself, or if you don't forgive yourself, isn't that showing lack of love to self? I'm just asking. So let's read the two instances where this took place. One instance is in Luke, and the Gospels repeated, right? Luke 5:17. I want to specifically get to the part where he says your sins are forgiven. Okay. One day he was teaching, there was some Pharisees and the teachers of the law sitting there who came. Okay. The friends couldn't find any way to bring him in. That's verse 19. Verse 20, seeing their faith, he said, friend, your sins are forgiven. Wait a minute now. Seeing their faith. So let me read verse 19. Again, this is Luke 5:19. But not finding any way to bring him in because of the crowd, they went up on the roof and let him down through the tiles with his stretcher into the middle of the crowd in front of Jesus. Seeing their faith, he said, friend, your sins are forgiven. The scribes and the Pharisees began to reason, saying, who is this man who speaks blasphemies? Anyways, forget them. For right now, let's just forget them. So verse 20, there is no footnote for verse 20. So it was, this definitely changes my theory now, because it's like their faith. I don't know. Let's pause on that. I might have to circle back. Mark 2:3 is the next instance. Well, actually, Mark was before Luke. So Mark 2:3. Now I'm really like, hold on. I got to go back to the drawing board. 2:3. They came bringing to him a paralytic carried by 4 men, being unable to get him. They dug an opening. They let down the pallet on which the paralytic was lying. Verse 5, and Jesus, seeing their faith, said to the paralytic, son, your sins are forgiven. Let's see if it's any footnotes for this one. 2:5, and Jesus, seeing their faith. Jesus recognized that the bold action of the paralyzed man and his friends gave evidence of faith. Son, your sins are forgiven. Jesus first met the man's deepest need, forgiveness. So I wasn't too far off. His deepest need was forgiveness. Why is it saying that was his deepest need? To be unforgiven, to not have forgiveness for self, You can't tell me that's not holding us back from things. Shame and guilt holding us back from things. Yeah. In Mark's footnote, it's saying it was the faith of the man and the friends. So you got to think the man on the pallet had to also have faith too, for him to even let his friends carry him from home, carry him up a ladder, dig a hole in a roof, and trusted them friends to let him down. He had to have faith too, right? And Jesus, seeing their faith, said to the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Let's keep reading, see if we can get some more. But some of the scribes were sitting there reasoning in their hearts, "Why does this man speak that way? He is blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?" Immediately, Jesus, aware in his spirit that they were, so it's, that's so good. Reasoning that way within themselves, said to them, "Why are you reasoning about these things in your hearts? Which is easier, to say to the paralytic, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up and pick up your pallet and walk'? But so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins," he said to the paralytic, "I say to you, get up, pick up your pallet and go home." So even in that instance where Jesus is like, which is easier, it says Jesus's point probably was that neither forgiving sins nor healing was easier. Both are equally impossible to men and equally easy to God. But the way that I hear that, it's like it seemed like forgiveness was needed first. Hopefully y'all follow me. This video has gotten way too long, but I'm just like, there's a story there. There seems to be a story there. Here's the question. Does our unforgiveness of self, we already know in the Bible there's validity to, if we don't forgive others, we're not forgiven. So we just walking around just unforgiving. God ain't forgave us, right? What about when we don't forgive ourselves? Aren't we included in that, where it says you must forgive others in order to be forgiven? Aren't we considered as others? So not forgiving ourselves, we're walking around in sin, correct? And like I said, it might be a stretch. The fact that he needed to be forgiven first, right? Did he have unforgiveness? What sins did he have? Was it unforgiveness of self? Your sins are forgiven. What was he harboring within himself? So, of course, unforgiveness, right? Was it unforgiveness? And then it's like sin in general. So unforgiveness and sin in general, does it hold us back from healing? Does it hold us back from healing? Just some questions, just some thoughts for today. Y'all be blessed. Shalom.